Okay, it's time for our second segment, and we have a special announcement to make. We were lucky enough to get Harris Kupperman to agree to come on the show every month. That's the last Friday of every month, and we kind of chastise our good friend Tony Greer, and we're proud to say that he's agreed to be on the Market Huddle every second Friday. So we're going to get the Navigator launch with the editor of the Morning Navigator, Tony Greer. Thanks for joining us today, Tony.
Hey, man, thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and you were especially kind. We're taping this a little early because you're getting to go to a special concert tonight. What are you going to see? Who are you going to see?
Yeah, we're going to go see a throwback show tonight, man. Peter Frampton at Madison Square Garden. It's his farewell tour, so it should be fun.
You know what's funny? You told me it was his farewell tour, and I actually believe this one will be because you told me that he's actually suffering from some sort of kind of muscular degenerative disease. But I remember going to the farewell tour of the Who
Yeah,
in 1988 or whatever.
yep. Yep, exactly. I was at a Stones farewell tour in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, you can't ever count these rockers out.
Absolutely, Tony. You got a beer
When
this
they
week?
run
What
out
are you
of
drinking?
money.
Yeah. I'm going just back to the old standard, Patrick. I'm not going to crack it right now. I've got a freezing cold Bud Light out of the cooler,
Okay.
and I'm just going with something light because it's only 2:11 in the afternoon, and I got a long night ahead of me.
Well, listen. You know what? We're drinking this Sip of Sunshine. It's one of these beers from actually your neck of the woods, and it's an 8%. So there's no way me and Kev are going to keep up with you, can for can, because we're going to get plastered at an 8% beer there. Anyway, so Tony, you put together some charts. What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I'm a raging precious metals bull for now. Which has really been the top trade on my mind as we kind of went through August with that negative yielding rate vortex that was sucking up everything in its path. And so gold was a good trade. And then if you've been reading my note, I managed to catch the turn fairly well in precious metals and in interest rates when I wrote about it in Hairpin Turn. And so I made a sale in gold and a sale in silver, but I've still got a large position in the bulk of my length. And I think these are going to be heavily in play. Obviously, I don't think that this negative yielding rate vortex thing is going away all of a sudden. We're having a pretty big bounce in yields here globally. But I think that they are a series of sort of sell the fact events that this bond market has been waiting for.
Right.
And sort of rallying into for the whole month of August. We got the U.S. PMI finally slips into manufacturing contraction, and the bond market stopped rallying, right? And so that was one signal that it may have gone as far as it can go. And then you had, Draghi come out with his swan song yesterday, and that was just as entertaining as could be. Literally breaking out a new set of QE, new set of bond purchases, et cetera, et cetera. And, that to me, that's another signal that I don't own enough precious metals. So I'm very much embracing this little dip that we see on the screen and trying to strategize as to how to buy more and when to buy more.
Right. So, Tony, is there a particular price level on gold that you're watching, some moving averages or some level that you think is kind of a key area where you think there could be the buy?
Yeah, I mean, I've got chips stacked up in sort of pyramid. I'm going to buy all three moving averages if it trades all three. I'll tell you that. So I'm the kind of guy that's going to buy like a one lot at 1471, a three lot at the 100-day moving average at 1405, and a 25 lot down at 1350.
Wow.
At the 200-day moving average. So I'm kind of, I'm looking to participate a little bit here, but I'm looking to lean into this thing if we back off to 1350 or 1400.
Well,
Well,
Tony,
But last time
the
yes.
last I was going to say the last time you were with us, you were at our show at when we were at the Toronto Stock Exchange and taping there, and you came out huge bull on gold, and it was a terrific call. And looks like you kind of caught the top again. Like out of like your length, you said that you made some sales. Like what percentage of the kind of like are you 75% or are you down to 50 or even less?
I wish I had sold more as usual, but I'm literally at about 80 to 85% of what I consider like of the original position that I started with. Now, if we do back off to 1350, that position will be bigger than it started, but I'm looking to replace what I sold to start, I want to do that because I want to have my whole position on, but I do want to get a little bit bigger here as we, the market is going the other way right now with yields rising, but I still think that this negative yield story is going to be with us, and I think that we're going to be grappling with it for some time to come, and it's not going to be a flash in the pan this time.
So this rally was led by silver, and recently silver has kind of led the correction as well, I would say. So what are your thinking on that metal?
Yeah, I think it's a great, the tell in silver has been the gold silver ratio. If you guys have been watching that, silver with gold silver ratio trending up to about 94, all of a sudden silver jumped out of bed, right? And so from doing some forensic investigating in the markets and having a couple conversations, I think I've learned that it seems like somebody needed to put on a major position in allocation to precious metals and looked at the gold silver ratio and said, you know what, silver's much cheaper here, so I'm going to start with silver. And it looks like somebody, obviously laid into silver pretty firmly from, what did it break out from 16, low 16s or so? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Broke out really from 16 straight up to a high of nearly $20. Yeah. And now we're pulling back. We didn't even reach the moving averages yet. This thing can back off to $17 and it still feels like it's a buy. Back off to $16 and I still think it's a buy. I mean, to me, these breakouts are real. Gold just broke too long of a channel that it's been sitting in, a 3-year channel that when you break that, I really don't think it's just going to be broken for 3 months or so. I think that this price is going to continue higher. And, you got to wait for people to throw in the towel on them. You got to wait for people the last guys in have got to throw in the towel. And that's when we'll know it's right to get back in on the long side.
Right.
Okay. So go ahead, Patrick, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you also were talking home builders earlier. What was on your mind there?
Yeah, well, the home builders is like a really sexy setup for me. I can see you just put the chart up there. So if I was to illustrate, to go over this chart, in red, we've got 30-year yields, U.S. Treasury yields inverted, right? So they're upside down. And I'm charting those because a lot of mortgages are based in the 30-year or long-dated paper, or at least, beyond 10-year paper. So I'm using 30-year as my gauge here. And I've got the home builders lined up against it. And you can see there's some definite correlated behavior there. And I feel like what I'm seeing right now is if I take a step, maybe 5 steps back, actually, and cover one eye, looking at that builder chart, you see this massive head and shoulders. And as yields nosedive to these new low levels, to new historic lows in the 30-year, builders have really perked up. And now that they've broken out of the neckline of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, it's like I won't be able to live with myself if this pattern works out and I'm not long. So I'm long the builders now. It's one of the most recent trades that I put on in my note. It's working out well. I got in just on the break above 42.5 or so. And we're off to an okay start.
Are you trading the ITB?
No, I think he's
trading XHB. Yes,
the XHB. Okay.
Yeah, I like it because I like the heavy weight of Lowe's and Home Depot in there. Those are two stocks that I can always be comfortable being long because I find myself in the stores all the time. And as long as the charts are sort of alive and kicking and up to the right, I'm okay being long Home Depot and Lowe's.
So Tony, I gotta say, me and Kevin, going almost 9 months back, made a bet on this show, home builders against Treasury bonds, the TLT against the home builders, and we were neck and neck. I think a couple weeks ago we were. I think very close to break even on in terms of both of them being up about 20+%. Who do you think is going to win the bet here by year end?
Oh, I don't want to say, man. I'm not sure.
Come on, stick your neck out. You're going to be in Kev's camp or mine?
I'm long builders. So
all right, so Kev,
builders.
There it is. You got another counterparty in you. Listen, I'm not bearish home builder. I just think that. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. It's not what I wanted to hear, but anyway.
That's all right.
Anyway,
what else we got,
well, listen, you shared this Bitcoin chart here.
Oh yeah, that's just another one to take a look at. I mean, Bitcoin is coiling up so nicely here. I draw that breakout with the yellow sort of, the yellow cup and then the handle breakout type of thing, so you can see it really clearly there. And then now, it's the same thing as gold. I believe in this breakout after that huge consolidation in 2018 into 2019. Bitcoin definitely got left for dead back there. I got my readers into it pretty early. In fact, around 5K as it just started breaking out. I've still got a pretty upsized position there, and I'm really just kind of waiting out this consolidation at around 10K right now.
Yeah.
What was cool to me is that I managed to convert a bear into a bull. When we pulled Jared Dillian over to the bull camp in Bitcoin,
Come
and
on,
he
really?
brought.
Yeah, I
What's good
saw
is that
his tweet. I just saw his tweet. He was promoting the fact that he's come to the dark side there.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Next thing we know, he's going to be giving up electronic dance music and going into acoustic folk rock with us, Tony.
Exactly. Next thing you know, he's going to buy a freaking acoustic guitar. That's amazing. Oh my God. No, but it's good to have him because he brings a very different perspective. And he's a very new bull, so he's sort of cautious about wading in, but he's got to state his case, And I think that he sees the need for a non-manipulated currency, or the fact that the market is going to have a non-manipulated by central banks currency, and we're going to have our cake and eat it too with Bitcoin, and the fact that there's so much intellectual capital flying towards the space that you really can't ignore it any further. So whether the price goes up or not, or whether it doubles or triples or it doesn't go anywhere from here, this phenomenon is going to be with us, and we're going to be trading it on institutional trading desks for years to come.
So Tony, for our listeners, like when you are going along Bitcoin, which way do you put it? Do you buy actual Bitcoins? Or are you playing it through the futures or?
Yeah, no, I'm actually trading it on Coinbase. I don't have put it this way, Patrick, I don't have like a poker table size allocation to Bitcoin. I have more like a NFL betting size allocation to Bitcoin. Right. So it's a sort of small amount of money nominally, but it came from a much, much smaller allocation, and I'm kind of proud of holding it, through. And I think that it can be even bigger someday. So I'm just kind of watching for it to make its next move.
Nice.
Okay, so there we go. Long gold, long Bitcoin, and long the builders. And by the way, Patrick, I looked it up. You actually have been losing this bet for a long time. I don't know where you thought you said it was even. I've been kicking your butt for a while. I just pulled it up.
Come on, ITB. On this show, you said that we were even. And so I don't know
I
where
must have made a mistake because
you clearly
I
have
just
made
pulled
a
it
mistake.
up because the ITB is up like 40% year to date.
Yeah.
And even though bonds are kind of trading like they're a stock and that sort of volatility, but
I'm lagging.
Not,
I need a market crash.
You're lagging.
I need a market crash or something.
You do. And it ain't going to happen in the builders, man. I'm with Tony. People don't realize this, but everyone talks about the boomers. They don't realize that the largest demographic group right now is the millennials. And they, especially in America, they haven't gone and bought a house. They're still living in their parents' basement. And everyone says, oh, they're different. They're different. They're not different. They're just a little bit later. They're going to make households. And now with the fact that these mortgage rates have collapsed, and we've gotten a situation where I saw recently that 80% of mortgages are now in the money for refinancing. It's going to be a huge boom in U.S. housing. It's probably one of the cheapest assets out there. I'm all over Tony's trade. I love it. I don't know about the Bitcoin, though.
No, well, you know what I'm doing? I'm sprinkling the field on kind of stores of value right now, Kev. You wake up every day to a different horror show. And you say, okay, I can trade the stocks all I want, but if I want something to be here in 10 or 15 or 20 years, I have more confidence in gold and Bitcoin, than any of the stocks that I'm trading right now. So, we'll see how this pans out. But it is exciting. It is an exciting market to at least watch, and I think it's a godsend for those of us in the content business. We get we get another angle to talk about, and it's definitely going to be here and been around. So go ahead.
So Tony, you made some calls on oil with us before. I have the oil chart up here. What's your intuition here? I mean, where are we going? This is coiling up just like if it was Bitcoin. It's just like a big horizontal consolidation. And which way is it going to go? What's your intuition? Where do you think? What's your bias anyway?
I have no idea, but I can't wait for it to break because we're going to make tons of money. I mean, this thing is going to move. This thing is going to move $10, $15 or $20 when it breaks out of here. My bias right now is probably to the downside. And the only thing that changed or even swayed my opinion on that is that Khalid Al-Falid just got the royal boot from Saudi Arabia, and they, replaced him with Abdulaziz, which is one of Mohammed bin Salman's cousin, as their oil minister. So he's going to take over the Aramco IPO job now. And, he's the guy that ran their sovereign wealth fund. So it's like, now this whole thing has become a game of financial engineering, and I'm scared of what he might do to the oil price. There's a really serious player change going on over there. And, right now, the most dangerous animal in the jungle is a wounded animal. And Saudi Arabia, to me, seems like the wounded animal at the table. They're still recovering from the Khashoggi thing. They're still trying to get back on track for the Vision 2030 program, which is Mohammed bin Salman's program. And, the Aramco IPO is at the center of that. So if we start seeing a massive pullback in, M&A courtesy of WeWork topping things out or something like that, the Saudis are going to be under even more pressure. If there's a big pullback in private equity and the Vision Fund stops spitting out capital, I mean, I can't imagine what they would do to then get the price of oil higher. So what I'm looking to do is kind of sit here on my hands until this thing shows me signs of a real breakout, and then I'll start moving toward it little by little and try to catch this move.
There we go, a true trader waiting for the market to tell him where it's headed before he guesses. Or no, it's true, honestly. And I'm not saying that as a slam. I'm actually saying that as a lot of times you don't know. And Tony's smart enough and kind of confident enough to say I don't know. And when it gives me the signal, I'm going to go with it. Having said that, Tony, the fact that you're leaning short, like you kind of said. You told me something to the effect that I leaned short and then listed all these reasons why it went up, could go up, is indicative to me of what the market is set up as. And I agree with you. You're smart. You're realizing that it could head higher, but the reality is that most people are bearish. But anyways, listen, Tony.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, why don't you tell people where you can find more about your letter if you want to hear this good stuff on a regular basis? Where can they sign up for a trial or kind of contact you?
Yeah, Kev, this is actually a good point to mention this because, as you know, that as a reader, and I thank you, of my morning Navigator newsletter, what I'm starting, and it starts on Monday, September 16th, but somebody can sign on anytime after that. I'm starting a free newsletter in addition to the one that my clients pay for, and that's really going to be a slice of or a derivative of the Morning Navigator. So you can find me on the internet at www.tgmacro.com. You can find me on Twitter at @tgmacro. And if you have any interest in getting my free email, the Navigator Daily, which is going to launch at noon on September 16th on Monday, you can just direct message me on Twitter, your email handle, or email me at tony@tgmacro.com and with your email, and I will add you to the free list. So the free list is going to be a sort of one-pager, just a sort of brief look of the sort of 5-pager that I send out every day on the markets.
Well, there you go, folks. So make sure you
find me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you go get his free, the free daily letter. Because I get the full one and it's well worth the money. So I think you'll find that if the free one's anything like the full one, you'll be wanting more and more and more, and you'll be signing up for the full one in no time. Tony, thank you very much.
That's the idea.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. And listen, for those who want more of Tony, stick around. I think he's gonna regale us with another Tales from the Trading Pit.